Don't fear exchanges asking who you are, fear when they don't. Nobody likes exchange regulations, as evidenced by the interest in anonymity in the crypto world. However, safeguards are still necessary to keep users safe. When things go wrong and you need help, it's critical to have safeguards in place. Who will protect you if no one knows who you are? Asks the question. A lack of regulations can be risky. Without them, anyone with access to your email can claim ownership of your 10 bitcoins, BTC. This is one of the many fraud risks that await you when you begin trading digital assets on an exchange. Others include credit, legal, liquidity, operational, and market risks, all of which make trading even riskier. Although direct fraud is bad, indirect fraud is even worse. When it comes to cryptocurrency trading, there are two types of fraud: direct and indirect. Direct fraud is defined as a fraudulent activity in which you actively participate, such as a scam, phishing attack, or hacking. These are avoidable with simple precautions. These include using trusted websites, conducting research, and ensuring that you use dependable security tools. Indirect fraud is an activity in which you are not actively involved. Rather, you are unaware that it is taking place. For example, holding illegally obtained cryptocurrency or using it to fund criminal activity. As a result, you run the risk of authorities seizing your cryptocurrency or closing your account because your coins are linked to money laundering. If you obtain tainted cryptocurrency, your wallet addresses will be flagged as suspicious. This is a reputational nightmare that will be difficult to overcome. Overnight exchanges are another example of common indirect fraud. These are frequently shut down. However, if you end up trading on one, you will be held liable for any illegal activities, even if you were unaware of them. As a result, it is the exchange's responsibility to provide adequate user protection. This should be accomplished by confirming who they accept funds from and how these funds arrived in their users' wallets. Personal information exchanges are critical. In the crypto community, there is a lot of concern about exchanges requesting personal information. You wouldn't, however, open a bank account online and transfer your money, would you? You'd want to know who the bank is and where it's headquartered. The same question is always asked by banks. They need to know who you are and where you got the money. This is because if you keep money gained from money laundering activity in your account, authorities will go after the bank first. Cryptocurrency exchanges are all the same. They, like traditional banks, require protection for both platform users and themselves as legal business entities. As a result, even if it violates the initial idea of anonymity that underpins crypto, exchanges have no choice but to adhere to strict regulations and create a safe environment for users. The absence of a legal framework impedes mass adoption. When an exchange requests no personal information, it creates an ideal opportunity for other users to smuggle dirty cryptocurrency through. As a result, you may be able to obtain cryptocurrency obtained through illegal activities such as human trafficking. Even if illegal activities aren't a concern and you'd prefer to trade anonymously, these types of exchanges make it more difficult to trade and withdraw funds. This is due to a lack of widespread adoption. Everett Rogers popularized the technology adoption curve in his book Diffusion of Innovation. This concept demonstrates how people accept new technology. The curve depicts 5 distinct groups: innovators, early adopters, early majority, late majority, and laggards. Laggards are particularly averse to and suspicious of technology that drives change. However, their approval is required before declaring mass adoption. To reduce suspicion and increase trust, crypto should rely on something that most people already trust and are familiar with: the law. A legal environment, to some extent, is a safe environment or, at the very least, provides safeguards. It takes years and exchanges to build these processes, but it is already happening. Making exchange safeguards mandatory. Know your customer, KYC, and anti-money laundering, AML, compliance have already become mandatory for EU and US-based businesses. This was combined with ever-increasing regulatory demands. The Financial Conduct Authority in the United Kingdom has attempted to develop a regulatory framework for crypto assets. Businesses in the United Kingdom that have not yet registered with the FCA will be forced to close their doors. These kinds of requirements indicate that regulators' grip on non-regulated businesses is tightening. This means that trading platforms will soon be fully compliant. Needless to say, as more regulations are implemented, crypto users' anonymity is dwindling. However, the crypto world is becoming safer, which is critical given that we all want digital assets to be widely adopted. How to ensure you're trading on a trustworthy exchange. Strict KYC and AML requirements accompany secure exchanges. You should be required to prove your identity, where you live, and the source of your funds. These practices, however, differ from exchange to exchange. To withdraw funds or lift certain restrictions, some platforms require KYC and AML, requiring customers to provide copies of photo identification and, in some cases, proof of residence. Other platforms require such customer verification during the account creation process. On Exmo, for example, KYC procedures are part of the onboarding process. Users are subjected to ID and address verification, IP address verification, and a check against global sanctions lists. To prevent money laundering, we must also understand where the funds come from and where they go. Exmo has a full source of funds policy for fiat. This includes procedures for verifying the authenticity of any money deposited or withdrawn. We use the blockchain analytics cryptocurrency intelligence tool CipherTrace for crypto. It monitors all transactions and determines whether any connected wallets are at risk. Regulations aid in the early detection of fraud. Any exchange that is running smoothly understands how its customers trade. When something unusual occurs, an alert of suspicious or abnormal behavior is triggered. These transactions are then carefully scrutinized, and if necessary, steps are taken to block accounts or request additional information. Early suppression is critical for preventing any fraudulent behavior. This refers to the registration or initial deposit stage. This level of security is only possible if an exchange remains compliant, which also implies that it is a forward-thinking company rather than a one-time occurrence. Investigate the reputation of the exchange. Perform a Google search before opening an account and depositing funds. Examine the news and updates that appear under its name. Many exchanges have been implicated in hacks, scams, and other heinous activities. All of this information will be available online, but it is critical to pay close attention to how the exchange responded to the crisis and whether they were able to pay damages. Don't overlook exchange security. The exchange you want to trade on should provide a variety of security options. These should begin with two-factor authentication, 2FA, and end with encryption tools used to protect the personal information they collect from you. While you may not be able to know if they implement all of the security measures upfront, you can at least confirm if 2FA is available. This is the bare minimum for any trustworthy exchange. These are the simplest ways to determine whether or not an exchange is trustworthy. Others are worth considering, but these are the easiest to check yourself. My main point is to not be afraid when people ask you who you are. When they don't, you should be worried.